Indigofera is easier to be degradable than rather than the alfalfa. But after 6 hours, they are similar degradability. And the macro minerals degradation of Indigofera in rumen also higher after 3 hours. Yeah. For example, for calcium, for example, because Indigofera contains very high calcium. Yeah, this is the macro mineral solubility. My students try to investigate whether the population of plants per hectare can also influence the mineral solubility, because it relates to competition of mineral absorbs or taken up by the plant, by the crop. So we can see here that the more populated the plant in 1 hectare can reduce the solubility of minerals. Yeah, this ruminal degradation of feed, and due to our former study that the ruminal degradability, ruminal degradable protein in Indigofera is a little bit higher than others, then we try to combine with in Calliandra. As we know that Calliandra is the legume species that contain high tannic acid. It's about 7%, and we combine Indigofera and Calliandra. Here we can see that by increasing number of portion of Calliandra can reduce ruminal undegradable protein, can increase ruminal undegradable protein, or reduce the ruminal degradation protein. Unfortunately, the organic matter digestibility is lower, reduced, and crude protein is also more reduced. This is the strategy of Indigofera utilization as a feed ingredient in livestock ration. There are at least 5 strategies, and it is already done by our team in our laboratory. First is combining Indigofera with other legumes, especially those containing tannic acid like Calliandra, to improve feed value and nutrient utilization, and mix with any types of grasses. It is best if chopped. For example, we have studied by combining Indigofera with rice straw. You know that rice straw is very high in lignin content, and very low in digestibility. Then when the farmers mix rice straw and Indigofera, they got better digestibility of the feed. And you can also make a fermentation with the additional of easily soluble carbohydrates like corn, sorghum, and some elephant grass species. And we can also use it in combination with total mixed ration or concentrates, and serve directly to the livestock in form of hay or haylage. Yeah, this is one of the model we built, how to utilize Indigofera or legumes in animal ration. We normally do not use much in high cost fattening, but in low cost breeding and mid cost fattening, Indigofera can reduce cost of feed by contribution of, for example, 68% for low cost breeding and about 50 to 60% in mid cost fattening. Yeah, this is also other models. We developed what we call a in-site ration system. And this is the ration model that you can find in the site with different arts of forage species of crops, forage crops. For example, here the combination of grasses, Napier grass, and corn, indigofera, and mulatto. So we tried this for dairy cattle in Kuningan in West Java some years ago. Then the farmers, then we supply the information about the nutrient content of each species at every time, every changings of season. So the farmers recognize what they have to harvest more. For example, if they like to have more protein content in their duration, then they will harvest more indigofera than others. And so on. If they would like to have more phosphorus, for example, then they will have also cut more mulatto, or they have to, if they like to have more energy, then have to cut more corn. Yeah, this model was working very well, good, yeah, and very practiced, and can reduce feed costs in the farmer level. Yeah, this is how the indigofera biomass is managed. So right now we still don't have a machine, specific machine for harvesting indigofera. We have already talked many times with a company in Japan. They using so this is analog to a tea harvester, but it is quite different because we harvest more biomass than tea. Indigofera is more biomass than tea plant. So we manually cut it like this, yeah, and it they brought to the factory, and they dried, and they chopped, they dried, or they dehydrated, and they produce like these. Yeah, this is also the industrial scale indigofera-based completed feed products. As I mentioned in the former slides, that this plant is very ideal in dry matter, energy, protein, and fiber. So it is easily to have to make what is the ration by using indigofera. Incorporation of indigofera in the ration. So we have already produced like horse feed. Yeah, some. This is for. Yeah, this is for dairy cattle. This is for lamb, and this is for rabbit. No, sorry, for goats. Yeah, and they also some of buyer farmers use this hay for the cattle. Yeah, this is another project. This is already commercialized right now. Is incorporation of indigofera forages biomass into fermented feed. Yeah, we manufacture this. This is still in our research because this is still in our teaching factory. So we use it and we produce this, and a farmer can use this for. This is actually complete feed, containing indigofera. Yeah, this is possible feed cost reduction by using indigofera duration. We have already studies about this. Dairy cow, for example, 18 to 20. It's depend on situation or condition of the farms. And the layer is about 11% with cattle, broiler. Yeah, this some many farmers are happy with this research studies, but some ingredient supplier does not happy with this. Yeah, this is proportion of indigo vera used in different ration. If we normally we use leaf tips, tip or leaf tip and twigs. This is for quail. It's about 5% broiler. Is 5 to 10% layer. 5 to 10%, even more. Ducks is even more. Goat is about 40 for goat, more than 5 months. Kids about 20%, and so on. We can use this all of part, the indigo vera part. Yeah, this is if we made it as like pelletizing the indigo vera, and our students compare between 40% green concentrate indigo vera with 60% Napier grass with concentrate, commercial concentrate, 40%, 60% Napier grass. And you can see here the spares dot, they denotes treatment of indigo vera. So the production, milk production is still a little bit higher, yeah, more persist rather than a commercial one. Yeah, this is our student study also utilization of indigo vera in fermented complete feed. Yeah, they set it as a isoprotein energy compared to the control in dairy smallholders farms and industrial farms in Lembang. So farmers quite happy because they don't spend more time in the in the barn due to the feed is very practice to be applied to the fed to the animal, and make the barn is more clean. According to the data collected by our student, there is an increase of production of milk. Yeah, in our condition, and the milk production is about 10 liter a day. It is a little bit increased by utilization of indigo vera in the ration. Yeah, this is we can see here the blue one is pH 1, and the control is the what is the red one. So it looks not so consistent, but we can find some here like utilization of the 20% indigo vera can improve the production of milk. Yeah, yeah. We use right now that the company, one of a company in West Java. This is a big, one of the biggest company in dairy business. They use 20% of SI mix. SI mix here means that sorghum indigo vera mix in their TMR. So they reduce 20% their TMR and incorporate 20% SI mix to reduce the cost. They already doing this one, I think, more than 3 years, 2 or 3 years. Then they continue to utilize our findings. So you can see that the milk production, this is the red line, incorporation of 20% of SI mix, sorghum indigo vera mix, to 80% of TMR can persist of milk production. Can see in this data, even the initial, even the end body weight is not so high than the 100% of TMR, because this become a problem for them, for the company, because if the dairy cow becomes more fat or too high in body weight, then it's not good for the reproduction. But what they like to have is animals or dairy cow with stable, even there is an increase, but not so many increment of body weight. Dry matter consumption is almost similar. Dry matter consumption percentage is a little bit higher by increasing 20%, but it's not significant. The average milk production is a little bit higher for the 20%. And you see here the mastication is a little bit higher, and manure score is not different. So this is a good combination. 20% Indigofera and sorghum they use in the TMR. So that's why they utilize this product until now. Yeah, this is the methane production in goat rumen simulation by Rusitech 2000 for this long time research, but it convinced us that utilization of Indigofera inhalation can reduce methane production. Yeah, this is the new studies last year that the enteric methane can reduce in the mixed forage feed. Mixed forage feeds here contains 3 different species of forage and plus Indigofera to reduce the effect of production of methane. Yeah, this is a study, other study that use of Indigofera to improve the sperm, because many scientists they are doubtful that Indigofera can improve the sperm. Or at least they said that Indigofera has endospeciation and it reduced the sperm viability, but it is not like that. It's not in the case for Indigofera zolingeriana. So this is still better. Yeah, this is the egg production and quality of layer filtration containing Indigofera. This you can see. This is the color is more orange. Yeah, the color unit is almost already 13 rather than control. Yeah, you can see that what is the height of what it is called albumin is better than the control. Yeah, cholesterol issues is no longer in this case by increasing Indigofera portion in duration. Yeah, which is also used for what is tilapia and also grass crab. Yeah, we use this. We can see here that the Indigofera utilization can increase the volume of gonad. Yeah, this is utilization of Indigofera for sheep. Yeah, for sheep. And we can see here that Dorper, this is the breeds in Indonesia of sheep. The farmer cross Dorper and Garut and Garut and Priangan. This is local. Both are local. This is one of imported from Australia, and Garut is indigenous breeds. We can see that it's quite good. I'm quite happy with this study conducted by our students, our group. And this convinces us that the farmer will gain profit if they utilize this ration. Okay, I think this is our capacity building of Indigofera. We normally have training program 2 times every year to deliver many information about Indigofera. I think that's all. Thank you very much for you all.
Okay, thank you very much for the great topic, I think, Professor Lucky. Thank you very much. It's very insightful topic for us. And Yeah, it's very interesting because you said that indigo vera not only can be used as a ruminant feed, but also for poultry. Okay, this is the time for discussion. Yeah, so I will open for 3 students or the participant want to ask the professor about this great topic. I think you can open the camera and microphone if you want to directly ask to the professor. Yeah, from Zaidan, please.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much, Professor. So, for your insightful presentation, I found that it's very interesting that Indigo Ferra, especially in the Zerling arena, that also contains not only high quality of protein, but also antioxidants and other beneficial compounds. Since your PPT mainly focused on the Indigo Ferra as an animal feed, I would like to ask a question that maybe a bit beyond that scope. So, based on the rich protein and also the bioactive content, can Indigofera zolingeriana be enzymatically processed into bioactive peptides with wall application to enhance animal performance in functional feed and the same uh, course of antioxidant or anti-hypertensive nutraceutical? Because I'm a student in biotechnology and my professor are also discussing about some kind of bioactive that we can use this compound, also this bioactive to further research, for example, for cosmetic, also for the human supplements, and also for the animal science production. So that's all my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question, Professor. Do you catch the question?
Okay, thank you very much for your question. Well, this is the very interesting topic since we are now have a new groups for studying Indigofera's bioactive. We right now we will study not only from Zolingeriana but also for others because there will be no many issues for Indigofera zolingeriana according about the bioactive. Some of groups in our studies we are collaborating with researcher in basic science at IPB is extracting extracting protein. So they will have make a very high concentrated protein from Indigofera. And other groups also is working about the helminthic aspect for because we are expecting that Indigofera can also retard like worm, for example, for the animals. This is very important. Yeah, I think this is a good aspect. But I believe that another species of Indigofera will be more powerful if you like to isolate bioactive from that species, like what I have already mentioned and showed up to you about several species of Indigofera. Yeah, this. Okay.
Okay, Zidane, it's okay. Do you want some question again or any
I think
step?
that's enough.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the other question, is there any question? The participant, if you cannot directly answer to the professor, you can chat in chat room. I will convey to the Prof. Luki. Is there any question? Okay. Professor, I heard in your presentation that there are some species indigo vera in Indonesia, because you said there are toxic species and the others. And I want to ask how to distinguish, yeah, because I'm a common people like me, for example. Is there indigo vera, zolinifera have the specific characteristic in a visual, so we can distinguish directly with among the other species?
Yeah, if you are working frequently with indigo vera, I think you will automatically recognize indigo vera between indigo veras among indigo vera species. Yeah, normally they have I think from visually is different. Yeah, it's different from, for example, morphological viewpoint, and you can also see that the different size of leaf or length of leaf, and also you can organoleptically use what is the order of indigo vera will also different. Yeah, the more what is more strong. Yeah, the more strong order they potentially have specific bioactive and maybe toxic for animals.
Thank you, Prof. Dr. Emily, Dr. Emily, you can ask directly the professor, please, Dr. Emily.
Hi, good afternoon. It's nice to be in the Zoom again. Congratulations, Pak Lucky, for having
Emily,
a very
how are you, Emily?
Yeah, I'm in the Philippines already, and with me in the Zoom
Okay.
are my students. And thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you for the insightful presentation. I am interested in the study with regards to feeding the indigofera to the chicken. You have parameters on the egg quality. And I just wonder, how do you manage the presence of structural carbohydrates like the cellulose and hemicellulose and others, especially in avian feeding, as we all know that they have limited tolerance in this kind of fiber? Thank you, Pak Lucky.
Okay, thank you, Emily. How are you? It's a long time not to see you.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was there during the eye care, but
Yeah.
I was not able to have enough time to see you. But I'm interested also to have seen you during that time. But maybe some other time I can visit you again and the other faculty in Peternakan. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You're asking that how to manage the structural carbohydrate in this substrate in indigo vera. Yeah, this is very important question. There is no big issues when the indigo vera will be fed to the ruminant because they have rumen, but it's a big issue when you will fed it to monogastric or to like chickens. Yeah, the control quality of during harvesting activities is very important. That as we know already that the top parts of leaf, I mean the top leaf is the important part that we process and use it to for the animal for the chicken. What we have already done here with Professor Sumiati is utilization of indigo vera, only the tip part of the leaf, the about 15 centimeters from the top of leaf, and we use it. We make sure that the fiber is very low, less than 12%. So, but also we don't use it, of course, more according to our studies. it is not more than 10% we use Indigo Vera in the ration. Yeah, that's this is very important to manage the harvesting time, and the part of the plant, which part we have to extract it, or we have to harvest.
Thank you, Pak Lucky, for that very interesting. At least we know that even physical intervention can have a good effect in terms of feeding this kind of plants, or like this Indigofera. We know that this is very important also in tropical feeding, and
Yeah.
even just managing how to collect it is a good factor for the digestibility of this material. So we can just feed the top, and maybe for some improvements, maybe later we can also have other technologies how to still manage the carbohydrates or the structural carbohydrates present in this.
Right now we have studies utilization for making it become a nanoparticle.
Wow.
Yeah, this is great, and the result is good, but it's commercially still questionable.
Yeah, it's not feasible, maybe.
That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. Thank you once again, Pak Lucky, and
Yeah,
regards to all the
you-
faculty of Fakultas Peternakan, especially
yeah.
Pak Narwi. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Emily, for the question. And because of the time, participant, unfortunately, we had to close the first session because of the time. And one more, thank you very much for Professor Lucky Abdullah for sharing the insightful topic today. And hopefully you always in healthy, Prof. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day, Prof. Thank you, Prof. Bye-bye.
Sorry, I leave this forum.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. And for the participant, don't go anywhere because we will continue to the second lecture from Professor Hasliza. And don't forget to fill in the attendance form. Yeah, it's already shared in the chat room for the first lecturer and also for the second lecturer. Okay, for the second lecture, we have a great speaker also from Associate Professor Hasliza Hasim, Abu Hasim PhD from UPM University. I will inform you about the source CV. The first about the education. For her bachelor degree from University Putra Malaysia, and Master of Science from University Putra Malaysia too. And for her doctoral was obtained from Ghent University, Belgium. And also she have a lot of publication, including controlling alarm emission in poultry production through dietary interventions, prospects, and challenges, and a comprehensive meta-analysis of cassava addition in buffalo diet, and the last effect of adding soybean waste on growth performance and carcass quality out in quails. And also her expertise in ruminant nutrient, metabolic disease, lipid metabolism, rumen microbiology, and clinical nutrition. So for the participant, please pay attention for this session. Like before, you have to turn off your microphone, and if it's possible, you can turn on your camera. And our lecture will be 1 hour, 40 minutes for delivering the material, and also 20 minutes for a discussion. So without further ado, for Professor Hasliza Abu Hashim, time's yours. You can start your lecture, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang to all of you.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arif, for a very kind introduction of you. Kita jumpa lagi ya, because last time I
Ya, jumpa lagi, bro. How are you, bro?
sangat kuat ya, jodoh untuk jumpa di conference online, not yet the physical. Hopefully I can meet you in person one time. Okay. So allow me to share my slides first. Am I allowed to share? I don't see. Bisakah? Saya tak bisa share lah.
Zidan, please make
Because
pause
I need to get permission from the
Okay, wait for minutes.
share it of you. Yeah. So they are all students, Dr. Arif,
Yeah,
in this room?
pardon, bro.
In this room, they are all undergraduate or postgraduate student?
Oh, we have undergraduate and also graduate student. Yeah.
So,
Okay, please try again, Prof. We already make it you as a co-host.
I don't know why I cannot. Maybe allow me to join again because I don't. It is written here that I need to leave and join again. Can I join
Okay.
later?
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem, bro.
Okay, I'm back again. I'll try to share. Okay, now it's working. Can you see my slide?
Yeah, yes. You can see, bro. Go ahead.
But I don't see pula my slide. Where should I? Okay. Okay, now can you see my slide?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Sorry for the technical error just now. So I've been informed by Dr. Arif just now that I have around 40 minutes to deliver this talk or lecture, and the rest we will further have a discussion on this topic. So this afternoon, because in Malaysia now is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, this is the topic that I'll be sharing with all of you. The importance of preserving buffalo production and its feeding management for sustainability of food security. So as been introduced by Dr. Arif just now, I'm Dr. Hasliza working in University Putra, Malaysia. Okay, and yeah, this is just to show you an overview of this lecture, which I first would like to briefly give an overview or little bit of introduction on the buffalo production and its role in food security, because I think nowadays people are really looking into strategies, really looking into the topics on how can we ensure the sustainability of food security in our country, because we don't want to always rely on dependence on the outsource or how to say, all the imported in terms of the raw materials, in terms of the animal products itself. Okay, so that's why I will also discuss a little bit on this food security and its relation and the relationship of this buffalo production towards ensuring the food security in our country. Okay, and there's also some discussion on the issues and challenges of the buffalo production in ensuring the sustainable food security, as well as to discuss a few strategies that can help to enhance the buffalo production and ensuring sustainable food security. Okay, so let's move forward on the food security itself, because why I think this is very important to at least introduce a bit on this food security and see how this can strongly relate to the buffalo production and its role. All right, so we know from the definition of the food security itself, we look at these four components, important components define the food security in terms of the availability of the food, and then the access of the food, so that we can have this access to ensure that we have food all the time. And then we have also look at the utilization and how people utilize the food properly. All right, and also the stability of the food, which we have to ensure that the food which is always available, it is also stabilized and also always available for us as a consumer. Okay, so in this aspect, of course, looking at this topic of this buffalo production, so we'll be discussing or looking into how this buffalo production can help ensuring the sustainability, or look at the role of this buffalo production in the food security. Okay, so as we all know, the population in this world are always or keep on continue day by day. So meaning that there's more people, more resident in our country, more consumer that need all this access to this food, right? In terms of this towards the whole global supply chain. So we need to ensure that each one of us has the access and has the availability towards the food. So this is where we see buffalo also one of the animal product that can be part of this food accessibility. Okay, so and on top of that, we also want to look at these sustainable development goals, which is also related to the agriculture and food, which in this case, when we talk about the agriculture, we always focus on the SDG 2, which means that we have access or explicitly on the food by seeking to end hunger, so that everyone has a chance to the food, everyone can prevent from having this hunger. Okay, so that yeah, because we see not only livestock like cattle, goats, that has the role for this food accessibility, but we have to also count in the buffalo. Okay, because this is also one of the potential industry that may support the supply and the accessibility of the food to us as the consumer. Okay, so if you look at this chart, I mean this slides, you can look at the self-sufficiency rate of our livestock production in Malaysia. So from here, we can clearly see that livestock industry do play a significant role in agriculture in the country. I think same goes with Indonesia. We all rely on our agriculture sector in terms of the food supply. Okay, so it also include the management of the ruminant and non-ruminant livestock, and also the production of the nutritious, safe and quality food for consumers, and as well as we try to protect our environmental conservation while running this animal husbandry. Okay, so in this case, we have to look at the per capita consumption of the livestock product. So if you look at this diagram, you can clearly see that we are still far behind of the self-sufficiency. So meaning that we still need to produce our own food so that we can meet the demand by our own consumer. Okay, so in meeting the consumers' needs and demands in this country, some livestock products which not only dairy products, which also include the meat, the dairy and meat from not only from the cattle, but can also be counted from the buffalo. So that must be self-sufficiency. But it means that we need to be able to produce our own livestock product, which also counts from the buffalo production. Okay, so in this also we can see that buffalo production can play a role to contribute to food safety and security through the increased production of its products such as meat and milk. So like I mentioned just now, so we need to be able to produce buffalo meat and milk so that it can top up the needs from other ruminants like cattle and goat and sheep. Okay, so because we still want animal product in terms of the meat and milk, not only rely on the cattle, dairy cattle or beef cattle, but also can come from the buffalo, because we don't want to have any occurrence of the food crisis. So it should be counted of the contribution of this food supply from different sources. Okay, so that's why in our country, the large or small scale buffalo productions need to be developed commercially, because this is considered as one of the efforts to support the country's development strategy, whereby we want to ensure the food security is sustainable, and we need to increase this food production from the buffalo production. Okay, so this is just to give an overview on to all of you, to relate on how significant or how important buffalo production in food security. Okay, so we look at this next we look at this overview of the buffalo production or buffalo industry in Malaysia. So in Malaysia, we have this Asian water buffalo, also known as Bubulus bubalis, as one of the animal resource in this country. This buffalo actually provides economic value from its products such as meat, milk, and leather, and also being used in the field as a draft power. And traditionally, these buffalo actually raised in a mixed crop livestock system by the smallholder farmers. Of course, when we talk about the buffalo production or buffalo farms, it's always runs by the smallholder farmers. Okay, because buffalo can be considered as minor population from the whole ruminant animals in Malaysia, but it still has a significant role, because the product from buffalo is also one of the products like meat and dairy that is also in demand. Okay, so that's why it is a very good potential to be developed to ensure the food supply in the country, and we can also reduce the importation of meat and milk when we also count the contribution or significance of the buffalo products. Okay, so that's why in this situation, in this case, we have to really look into the role of this buffalo production and try to see how can we improve the buffalo production. Therefore, we need to apply various strategies like I mentioned just now. Okay, like I will explain later on the strategies that we are actually considering for increasing the buffalo production. Okay, so in Malaysia, there are two types of the buffalo that is actually very famous, very common, which is known as swamp buffalo and also river buffalo or Murrah buffalo. Okay, so the swamp buffalo, the difference between these two are actually can be differentiated based on their morphology and behavior. Okay, because if you see, this is the swamp, this is the Murrah buffalo, and from here you can see the difference in terms of their characteristics, whereby for the swamp you can see the chromosome is 48 in comparison to the chromosome number in Murrah, which is 50, and also both are actually can be found in the Southeast Asia, and the color, the body color of this swamp buffalo is actually slightly ash or dark gray with the white chevron line on the neck. All right, but for the Murrah, it is slightly darker, so it has a black bodies with tightly and forwardly curled horns. So if you look at the horns, you can clearly say that this is the Murrah buffalo, and it's also prefer to wallow in clean water. And in swamp buffalo, it prefer to wallow in the marshland and mud. Okay, so both are actually can be easily differentiated based on the horn. So if you look at the Murrah, the horn is slightly curled compared to the swamp, which they have a very straight horn. Okay. And yeah, so you see they are actually and also the difference in terms of the color. So if you look at the crossbred buffaloes, which we breed the swamp and the Murrah buffalo, we can have more or less the same morphology. It's just that the size of these crossbred buffaloes are actually smaller than the Murrah and bigger than the swamp buffalo. So it's actually intermediate in the middle size of the two crossbred buffalo. Okay, so it is actually happen when we do the crossbreeding between swamp and Murrah buffalo. Okay, so that is a little bit on the introduction about how this buffalo production condition in the current industry in Malaysia, and what are the buffaloes that are actually available in Malaysia in terms of their breed, in terms of their characteristic. So now we move on to these issues and challenges in the livestock industry, as well as the buffalo production for the sustainability of food security. So this slide is just to show you a general issues and challenges that are actually been facing by all the livestock in Malaysia, which also include the cattle, dairy cattle, beef cattle. Okay, so these are very common of the issues and challenges, especially when we have the issues in terms of the disruption of the food supply chain, which could be due to the disease outbreaks, and it could be due to geopolitical issues like the disease outbreak. For example, we can see how we are actually strongly been affected during the pandemic COVID, because every country have their MCO, what we call it, MCO. Everybody has to close their border, has to close the road because of the movement control order. So this actually directly affected the livestock production and also the food chain system. And also when we have the Russia-Ukraine war, it is also one of the big impact to us in the livestock industry, as well as the climate change. So climate change is something that we cannot control. We cannot, but we can have strategies on how can we overcome the challenges of this climate change. So for other factors, we can also look at the in terms of the management of the farm itself, which normally some of the farms of the livestock are actually runs by the smallholder. So of course, they are not really efficient in terms of the livestock farm management. So sometimes the location is not suitable, the breeds that they use for that purpose like meat or dairy is not also suitable, and then there's also a big contribution to the air pollution, odor pollution, and yes, and this may further contribute to the health issues and safety of the livestock products, which also resulted in occurrence of the disease outbreaks. Okay, so all these are actually a burden more to the farmer, because there's actually incur some costing because of the production cost and unstable product market prices. So this is very general. Let's look at the challenges in the buffalo production specifically. So as an alarming decline in the buffalo population of Southeast Asia, it is actually has happened over the past 2 decades, because we know that the buffalo production is very difficult to sustain because of these challenges. So several factors has been identified. One is that because of the poor market demand, we have the demand, but sometimes people have their preference. If you give them preference or selection, whether they want to eat meat from from beef cattle or buffalo, sometimes people prefer to choose dairy beef cattle. If we give them option to choose whether milk products from buffalo or dairy cattle, people will always choose for dairy cattle. So sometimes the demand is there, but it's because of the preference, it makes the buffalo productions not well established. Okay, and also high rate of slaughter coupled with insufficient input for research and development. This has been identified as well. And also because of the increased technology or agricultural mechanization that made this buffalo that commonly used as draft power in the farm are actually reduced in the population, because people are now deviate from the old practice into the agricultural mechanization. And also to maintain the population of the buffalo, there's also challenges in terms of the poor breeding program, because the low supply of this quality breeding stocks, poor responses to the biotechnology are actually factors that may contribute to the poor success of the breeding or poor success of the breeding program. And also because we know this buffalo production also been run by the smallholder farmers, some of them are having lacking of knowledge on the buffalo production systems, especially on how to manage nutrition and management practices properly according to the standard or requirement of the buffalo. So those are very specific challenges that we are facing in the buffalo production system. Okay. So therefore, some of the strategies that we are actually applying or we are actually planning to meet the challenges of this livestock production, these are all the strategies that we can overcome or we can apply or implement, so that we try to boost up the livestock production from these various strategies. So one of that is looking at the integration potential of the integration system. So this one probably we can mix the crop as well as the animal, like in the oil palm plantation. I think in Indonesia also very common to have the integration system. So that we make full use of the resources in terms of the land, in terms of the food source. Okay. And also we need to improve the livestock genetics and breeding management. So this need to be done by research, need to be done by training of the expert in the AI, probably in the breeding management, so that they can always perform and ensure the success of the breeding program. Okay. And also we are encouraging the farm management to have accredited by practicing good husbandry and welfare of the livestock. So this can help to minimize the impact of the climate conditions, such as the heat stress. And nowadays also, we try to encourage our agriculture industry, livestock production, to apply relevant technologies in animal husbandry. So by applying IoT, AI, so it can help to minimize the resources in terms of the labor, in terms of other factors. Okay. And also this one I have explained about the mixed farming system or integration and the oil palm plantation. And also this is the one that I would like to highlight in this topic, on how this potential of research studies to use local feed resources so that we can minimize our reliability on the importation of the feed materials, the cost, so that we can also help to minimize methane production. And of course, for all these strategies, we need a strong cooperation between agencies to obtain supplies, inputs, training, and services. And also we need help from the government in terms of the financial and appropriate policy. So this is very general about the strategies on the livestock production. So let's look at the strategies to enhance the buffalo production system as a direct or as a whole. Okay, so the transformation and strategies that have been identified to develop the buffalo industry include the increased efficiency of the buffalo industry through multi-stakeholder efforts and intensify research and development. This is what we are doing now. In fact, my research team also, we have conduct various studies involving the feeding management, involving the health management, as well as the farm husbandry in buffalo production system. So this is one of the strategies or effort that been done by the researcher in the university as well as by other government agencies. And also we have to also start to think about increasing the feed production and properly utilizing a balanced local food supply and imports, as well as to produce a quality feed formulation which are readily available sources from our local raw materials, such as the agricultural byproducts. Like in our country, maybe in Indonesia also, you have a lot of agricultural practice or crops which the byproducts are actually potential to be used as an animal feed. example, we have paddy straw, we have rice straw, we have paddy husk, rice husk, or maybe we have also a lot of oil palm plantation, so we can use their oil palm fronds, we can use the empty fruit bunch, and whatever byproducts that come from the oil palm industry. Okay, so this can help to be to help us to have less dependence on imported ingredients, and also the most important, to ensure the health of the buffalo production is good, we have to strengthen the effectiveness of disease control, as well as expanding the good buffalo management practices. Okay, so this is these are all the strategies that we can help to enhance the buffalo production. So feeding management for buffalo production, if we look at the feeding management as per se, I always want to ask about what. There's always a question, what means that, what are the feed that what should you know about the feeding buffalo? So of course, for feeding buffalo, we need to know that the feeding regime and feed availability actually play a significant role to help boost up the reproductive and productive performance of the animal, so that it can help in increasing the mortality, that they can help to fertility, they can help to have longer calving interval, and also improve the growth rates. So buffalo, like humans and all other animals, they need feed to obtain various nutrient requirements for their proper body functioning or metabolism. So on the right, you can see these are all the nutrient characteristic or nutrient classes that needs to be in the diet of buffalo, so that it can fulfill their requirements for growth, for reproduction, for production. Okay, so they need to have all this, as well as when they are in the gestation, breeding, lactation, or maintenance. So this one needs to be supplied to meet the demands, and also at various level and life stages, because for buffalo at early age, after weaning, heifer, they need different amounts of the feed, as well as different nutrient requirement. Sorry. So the different types of the feed are actually consist of different composition of nutrient. Okay. All right. So if you look at this, we have a different type of the feed that we can use to give to the buffalo. So it actually divided into two. We can give in the forage and also the concentrate. So forage, we can give either in terms of the grass or legumes. Grass can be further divided, either you give in pasture or fodder, fresh hay or silage, and concentrate, of course, is a mixture of the grains, some with the agricultural byproducts, as well as the feed additive, and we can also mix with the vitamin and mineral. So this is a general or a very standard feeding practice for buffalo. Okay, so we have to know there are various type of the feed that we can offer to buffalo, but you have to ensure that all these feeds has their nutrients that meet the requirements of the buffalo, whether the buffalo is still young, whether buffalo is in gestation period, whether buffalo is in a maintenance state. So you have to consider all that. Okay. So next we move to the why. Why we need to feed to this buffalo? Why the buffalo feeding and nutrition is so important? Because I highlight just now, it is right. It is important to provide the right amounts of feed and nutrients to promote growth and production, so that we can also promote the meat and milk production in buffalo. So because we know that the poor quantity and quality of feed will cause nutritional imbalances and can trigger many health problems in buffalo. So this will further suppress the immune system and further let the animal become weaker, more susceptible to disease, less productive, and sometimes it may affect the fertility of the buffalo. So we don't want this to happen, because we want the buffalo to keep on producing, to become fertile, so that they're able to get pregnant and give birth to the calf, and further we raise the calf until it become juvenile, heifer, juvenile, and then we can further include them in a breeding program. Okay, So that's why is very important. And then we move to how to practice proper feeding to achieve the optimum level of growth and production of buffalo. So this is more to on how can we apply the strategy, or how can we implement the practice of proper feeding. So as I mentioned just now, the type of the feed for buffalo, it can be it consists of grass and concentrate. So for grass feeding, normally we can choose whatever grass available. So either you also can perform the pasture management, and also the concentrate, it depends on what source of the concentrates and what are in the concentrates that can have various nutrients to supply to the buffalo. Okay. And also you need to provide the supplements so that it can support the nutrient availability and also the health of the animal. And on top of that, you can also consider usage or utilizing the various agricultural byproducts. It's just that we have to bear in mind, using this agricultural byproducts sometimes is not straightforward because of the nutritional quality of this byproduct. So that's why sometimes you have to consider treatments or pre-treatments to improve the nutrients and degradability of this agricultural byproduct. Either you convert or you process the agricultural byproduct to become silage, or you can also add an enzyme and you do some pre-treatment with other fibrolytic enzyme or yeast or any fungi that can help to loosen up the fibrous characteristic of the agricultural byproduct. Okay, so this is just something that I would like to share from what my research actually found, and from what I did for my research in terms of this utilizing of the agricultural byproduct as part of the feed for the buffalo. So one of the things that I did was applying a pre-treatment to improve the rumen degradability of OPF. So this pre-treatment was done using white rot fungi, as well as the white rot fungi and with addition of fibrolytic enzyme, and also the enzyme extract from white rot fungi. So why we need to do this pre-treatment? Because we know without this pre-treatment, there's always prevent access of rumen microbes to cellulose and cellulose. Because in this work, we use the oil palm fronds. You know, the oil palm tree, they have this leaf. So the whole leaf and the petiole, we call it as oil palm fronds. So what we did in Malaysia, we also process this become pellet, but still, because the characteristic of the oil palm is very hard, very highly in fibrous material, and also it also contain very high lignin. Lignin is one of the highly fibrous material that bound together with cellulose and hemicellulose. So this lignin actually prevent, this is the pink, actually prevent the access of these rumen microbes to cellulose and hemicellulose, whereby we want the microbe to attach to cellulose and hemicellulose in order for them to digest the fibrous material. Okay, so this will further restrict degradation of OPF by microbes. That's why we did this pre-treatment, because when we did this pre-treatment, it is actually allow access of rumen microbe to cellulose and hemicellulose after breaking down to the bound of the lignin, and further allow degradation of OPF by rumen microbe. You see here how this pre-treatment can break this lignin and further allow the rumen microbes to enter and bound to cellulose and hemicellulose. So this is how this pre-treatment works. Okay, so we can do various type of pre-treatment, either physical, chemical, or biological, as listed in this slide. So it depends on what is your preference, what is the objective of your study, what is your resources, or what is your preference in terms of the cost, in terms of the costing of you to do and to proceed with this pre-treatment. Okay. And this is just to show you some of the papers that we did, we published because of from this research work, right? And also, it's very important also for you to always apply this feed analysis so that we can determine the correct and balanced amount of nutrients given, so that you know the nutrients in the feed that you give are actually meeting the requirements for each different phase or stage of the buffalo. Okay, and on top of that, you have to also determine the feed intake, because feed intake determines how much nutrients being digested, being absorbed in the buffalo body, so that how much animal can get the energy and also can provide the nutrients benefit to further function, to further help in the metabolism, body metabolism. Okay, so that you can also determine the growth and production of the livestock at various level. Either you measure the weight, you measure the body condition score, you measure the health. So all these actually indicators or that determine how balanced your food or how efficient your feed in terms of meeting the nutrients requirement. So that's why overall, you have to consider all these factors and aspects, as well as to practice a proper recording system, so that whenever you give food to the buffalo, you have to record what is the type of the feed, how much you give, and what are the nutrient analysis that what are the nutrients that actually in that feed after you did the feed analysis. You have to have all this record so that it's easy for you to keep track on how efficient your animals are performing from this feeding practice or feeding system. Okay, and so what's next? Of course, after we apply all these methods, we apply all this feeding regime or feeding management, we want to see the impact. So what the impact can be seen, how this impact can be seen after you measure some of the parameters to see whether the animals are growing, animals are producing, animals are actually benefit from this proper feeding management. So this is also one of the research that we did. You can see from the animal from the study, because previously the farm did not practice at all the proper feeding management. Only after we came and we did research in this farm, we able to correct their feeding management. So that's why we able to improve the farm, because this is the practice before before we did the study. So after we did the study, see how can we shorten their how can we achieve the market weight in a short period of time in comparison to previous, because before practicing the feeding management, they are actually gaining the market weight up to 2 years. But with this proper feeding management that we applied in this farm, we able to make it only a year to reach the market weight. Same goes to the breeding weight, because without proper feeding management, it took them around 3 years to achieve this breeding weight at 385 kilos. But when we have this proper feeding management, we can achieve the breeding weight within 2 years, as well as the weaning age, because you feed the mother properly, you feed the weaned animal properly, you're able to shorten the weaning age up to 3 months only instead of 5 to 6 months. Okay, so this is one of the significant impact that we can see after we measure all these parameters and also performance of the animal. Same goes with this with the birth weight. We can also see the birth weight is kind like increasing or higher compared to other reported studies for both Swan buffalo and Murrah crossbred buffalo. Okay, so this is the one that we achieved from this study. So see how different is and how increase of this birth weight compared to this two. All right, and also the growth trend you can see also from these both breeds, which is after before the after birth until the 3 months old, is also increasing. And then it's also dependent on the quality and quantity of the dams milk in the pre-weaning period. So this is also to see how good is the milk after you apply the proper feeding, because if you apply proper feeding, you have you meet the nutrients requirements for the mother, for the body, as well as for the milk quality. So that's why the buffalo milk, when we apply the feeding practice, it has a very rich nutrient composition. So this is also the the good thing about the pre-weaning of this animal for Swan and Murrah crossbred, because it is actually increase in terms of their body weight because of the nutritional quality of the grass, concentrate, and also nutrients that is available in the feed. Okay, so this is also to show you the market weight pattern, because we able to reach the market weight only in a year compared to previous. Before practicing the feeding management, it took them around 2 years to reach the market weight. Okay, and same goes for the average daily gain. We can reach the average daily gain slightly higher, almost like more than 0.5 kilogram per day as compared to literature reported by other studies. Okay, so same goes with this market weight and breeding weight is actually slightly faster compared to 3 years. Okay. And so for this work, we can conclude that we have successfully improved the feeding management of this farm, as well as the animal performance, the buffalo performance in terms of for the whole life stages of the buffalo in the farm. So we can conclude that the whole farm has benefited from the proper feeding practice. If you able to do some kind of treatment, you will be able to do some kind of pasture management, and you make the feed balance in terms of their nutrient requirements. So this is the impact of proper feeding. You can also refer to this paper published so that we can see how this impact can be measured, can be assessed from the whole project, which after we formulate the diet. So as the conclusion, we know that buffaloes cannot produce their own nutrients unless we, the farmer, or also you as the animals scientists, to give them the right feed in terms of quantity and quality through proper feeding practices. So see, from here we know how important is the nutrients, the nutrition to the buffalo, and how significant of the role of us to ensure that this buffalo production is actually improving, growing, and how at the end we can see how this buffalo production play a significant role in ensuring the food security and sustainability in our country. So I think that's all that I can share with you guys about the buffalo production in Malaysia, as well as the research that actually I did, and some of the research are still ongoing in buffalo production or buffalo feeding management. Yeah, I hope it has I hope this sharing actually benefit you guys, and also I open for question and answer if you have, or I should pass this to Dr. Arif again. Thank you very much. You're muted, Dr. Arif.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Yeah, thank you, Prof, for the nice presentation. I think it's very insightful for us. Okay, this time for discussion. Yeah. Okay, for the participant, any question? Please raise your hand. I open for 3 participants. Okay, the first question from Zaidan. Please, Zaidan, you can ask directly.
So thank you, Professor. Because your presentation is so insightful, and also I'm curious that because of the considering the importance of reducing feed costs and methane emission, especially in smallholder buffalo system, do you think microbial biotechnology such as vocal fermentation technique or enzyme supplementation will be applied to improve the nutritional quality of native feed resources? Because in here, I'm particularly curious if this approach complement current feeding strategy, because as you mentioned before that buffalo is common like animal in Malaysia, and also you also mentioned like the crossbreeding between the swarm and the murah. And do you think that we use the simple biotechnology technique to improve the feed resources, and also what is the impact, also the positive value in the future. I mean, for the further studies, and we can find that something different within the previous research. Thank you.
S- I think I need to simplify your question so that I'll be able to answer correctly. You were asking how this agrobiotechnology can be applied in enhancing the buffalo production, isn't it? Or because I tried to get the important point from your questions so that I'll be able to answer correctly. Betul tak? Betul tak, Dr. Arif? Because I try to understand the question properly. Can you rephrase, Dr. Arif? Maaf ya, saya.
Zaidan, sorry, can you ask more simply, because it's very long sentence, I think. So please repeat again if you. Hello, Zaidan.
I think what I can capture his question just now is how this biotechnology can further enhance the buffalo production. Is that
Yeah,
what?
yeah, I think. Yeah, Prof. I think like that.
Yeah, because I think because I also mentioned in my lecture just now, one of the strategies is by us to apply all the technology nowadays. We know that nowadays we have a lot of technologies that can be implement or applied in the farm, such as we have the IoT, we have the artificial intelligence, and also a lot of things that we can consider in terms of the technology, right? So in applying this biotechnology, of course, it can go to various components or aspects in the buffalo production system. For instance, if you want to improve the breeding program, or you want to improve the genetic pool of the buffalo in the production system, you can also apply technology. Probably you can do all these like embryo transfer, or you can do all these kind of AI or something that very using a very high-tech equipment or instruments. So all this still falls under the technology that you can apply, so that you can ensure the success rate of the breeding programs is always high. Okay, so if you look at the technology in terms of the feeding management pula. So of course, you can also apply the technologies in terms of the, like I mentioned in my study, in my research just now, we can always choose what is the best pre-treatment that can have a very significant impact to the feeding practice. So probably you need to do some kind of pre-treatment using a steam explosion or technology, or you want to do some kind of pelletizing of the feed materials using this pre-treatment of pellet instruments or pellet apparatus. So all these are actually involving using the technologies that is actually, I think, available in the market. And also if you want to do technology in terms of the artificial intelligence, or in terms of the data management, or you want to use any apps or something that you can easily monitor the farm, it is also applicable, because this is more like the technologies that can that can be applied in the farm, in the industry, so that it can help to improve the farm management, as well as reduce the costing in terms of their laborers costing, or maybe it can also help to reduce the human or technical, human error, if you use the technology, and it help to improve the farm management and performance as a whole. Is that correct? What I understand, and I try my best to answer that. Bro Tarif, ya bisa
I think it's okay, bro.
bantu.
Zaidan, I hope you catch the answer. And the next question from Dr. Moses. Please, Dr. Moses.
Okay, thank you, Professor, for this wonderful session. Plus, people who are around, we thank you for attending this Zoom session on tropical animal nutrition and feed technology. I believe we are getting a lot of skills we are gaining.
I think he's freezing.
Kere in Uganda. My first question is, we've learned about buffalo production. I may decide to go with forage. For instance, I may prepare my garden for pastures, whereby I can plant my leguminous pastures, but I want to know at what stage, because we are very many people here, we may not be knowing at what stage do we harvesting these pastures so that our animals, our livestock should meet those nutrient requirements. We want to know the periods, the right time to harvest these pastures. For instance, I may mix with the green leaf desmodiums or silver leaf desmodiums. These are leguminous pastures, but I don't know at what time should I harvest them. Another thing, I have two questions. Another question is about artificial insemination of buffaloes. We've seen that we are having scarcity in the market of these buffaloes. We may be having farmers who need draft power, but when we cannot meet their requirement, is there any technology of providing sexed semen? For instance, I may decide that on my buffalo farm, let me be producing more females than males, whereby I will produce more milk to farmers or to the country. And I may decide that, no, let me produce more males for those people who need draft power. Thank you, Doctor. Those are my questions.
Thank you, Moses. Is that correct? I pronounced your name?
Yes, it's right. It's right.
Okay. All right. For the first question, when you ask about this pasture management, of course, when we talk about pasture management, it's not only by planting the pastures and let it grow without a proper management practice, because it's good to also look at the quality of the soil, which is also which you can also sometimes take the samples of the soils and do the nutrient analysis of the soil, because the soil can also be one of the determinant on how good or how good in terms of the quality of your pasture, in terms of their growth, in terms of the nutrients that is actually present in the grass. So it's also one of the technique that, or maybe method, that you need to apply when you apply this pasture management. And also at it's good also to a several period you take the samples of the grass to measure the nutrients requirements. I mean the nutrients in the grass. So because if you want to harvest the grass or you want to chop the grass, I would suggest or recommend to do it as early as possible, because normally in Malaysia, for instance, if you have napier grass, after we do all these necessary practice like fertilizing, seeding, and also analyzing the soil, nutrients, everything, after 21 days, normally 21 to 30 days, we harvest and chop to feed the animals, because at that stage we believe that it's still early, so that all the nutrients are still at high composition. For instance, the protein, the fiber, the moisture. Because if you harvest or chop at a later age, the nutrients will be degraded. I mean, the nutrients will not be as good as the early stage or early age, because the fibers is more like because the structure of the grass also highly fibrous material, which is not really good for the animals. Okay, so I would suggest that you harvest or chop within 21 to 30 days. That is the best time for you to harvest the grass. And for the second question, when you ask about this AI on how can you ensure success of this AI for a draft buffalo, yes, because you have to consider the purpose or the use of the draft buffalo, because draft buffalo, the nutrients requirements is much more higher. It's not only for their body maintenance, it's not only for their reproduction, but it's also to top up the energy that is actually lost during the work load, because we know draft, they consume they use a lot of energy, protein. I mean, they use a lot of energy, so they lost a lot of energy as well. So you need to ensure that you recover all this nutrient loss by feeding them with all this balance and also good quality of grass as well as the concentrate, so that the nutrients are met not only for their body maintenance but also to replenish the nutrients lost after they perform draft work. So because this also one of the indicator or factors that when you able to meet all these requirements, the animal is actually easily become fertile. Because if you don't meet these requirements in terms of the energy and proteins, that's why the success rate for their calving, that for their gestation, I mean for their pregnant, to get pregnant, in the breeding program is also very low. So that's why you need to consider all these factors as well. We know that we want to use the buffalo for draft, but if you also planning for the buffalo to reproduce, to also include them in the breeding program, you have to ensure that the nutrients requirements, especially energy and protein, are actually met for, so that they can stimulate, they can have it can improve their reproductive performance as well. Okay, I think that's all for this question from Jose.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I think it's enough for the first question. And the next question we have Mr. Ahmad Al Farouk.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I have seen in the commentary film that buffaloes in Turkey can help rehabilitate former mining land and other dry areas, while in Australia, wild buffaloes have become pests that can damage the soil. And then how about buffaloes production in Southeast Asia? What is the impact of buffaloes on the ecosystem, specifically in Southeast Asia? That is.
Okay, all right. So as I mentioned also in my lecture, at the early lecture just now, in Malaysia now we are actually encouraging the Ministry of the Agriculture as well as the Department of Veterinary Services are actually encouraging everyone, I mean, or the livestock industry to start to improve or the buffalo production, livestock industry, because this is also part of our contributor as for the food products, because we cannot rely only on dairy cattle, beef cattle, goat, sheep, because we can see the potential of buffalo. One thing, because it's very big animal, it can also and it's also very resistant compared to dairy cattle and beef cattle, and we know the product is actually even though we have the preference for this, but still there is demand, because in Malaysia we have the minority from the Indian community that is prefer that are actually highly demand from this community. They prefer to drink more dairy, buffalo milk. They prefer to eat meat from buffalo. So this is considered like a very good sign or indicator that we can enhance our buffalo production as one of the sector that can produce the animal product like meat and dairy. And some more in Malaysia, there's also demand from the buffalo milk, because we are actually producing the mozzarella cheese, because the cheese product also actually in high demand in Malaysia. because we have so many food that needs cheese, because nowadays people always eat with an additional of cheese. So this cheese product is also in demand, which it can also get the supply of the milk from dairy buffalo, because the mozzarella is actually made from this dairy buffalo milk. So that's why with this sector of this cheese product, it is also considered as one of the factors that needs the buffalo production to be established, to be enhanced in Malaysia, so that we can at least we can minimize the importation of this meat and also milk. Okay. I hope I answered that question.
Okay, it's okay. Mr. Ahmad Al Farouk.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. And the next question from Mr. Balalik Paul.
Oh,
Hello, good morning, doctor from Uganda.
yeah. Hello.
So, on one of your slides, you had my question is, given that we have a high slaughter rate those sides, and there is limited investment in research about the buffaloes, so how can we strike a balance between just commercial slaughter and the conservation of buffalo populations in Southeast Asia there? Because I believe if you can address that here, we can also address that imbalance in Africa.
Sorry, I don't get the question correctly. So can you please rephrase your question, please, sir? I try to
That
relate the important point that you want to ask.
given that we are having a high slaughter rate, which is equal to a high demand rate, and having limited research investment in buffalo production, so how can we strike a balance between the commercial slaughter to meet the demands and the conservation of these buffalo populations?
Okay. Okay, I think I understand your question clearly is how can we make a balance in terms of the demand to grow the buffalo industry as well as the limitation of the research grant to conduct the study on the buffalo production. Is that right? Okay, I think yes. This is also one of the challenges that I think we can discuss here. We can highlight here. That's why in this case, we really need a strong support. We really need an initiative by our government, because if the government has the policy to improve the livestock industry, which also includes the buffalo production, then the government should also provide us with some of the research incentive, so that we can explore, we can improve the performance of the buffalo, and for that we can also increase the buffalo production. So after all, this is also directly involve the the initiative and also the support from our government in terms of their policy, in terms of their financial support, in terms of their resources support or facilities. So all these actually needs involvement various stakeholder and also their strong support, because the research grant should maybe the government should also encourage the third party like the private sector or the GLC to get involved in this research by providing a research grant that will benefit to all parties or stakeholders. So probably we can work together with the industry, the community, the farmers, with the full support of these stakeholders, so that we can slowly grow the buffalo production to meet their demand. So yeah, that because in this case we cannot work in silo. We need to work and collaborate with all various stakeholders, so that probably the one that is have more money, they can give the research money, and those with experts like researcher in the university, they can join in this project to advise or to do the research with the support from the funder. So all this needs a collaboration, a collaborative work. It's not in silo.
Okay, I think it's okay. And the last question is, we have one question in chat room. Yeah, it's from Fadila Nuhu Sehu from Nigeria. The question is, how is sustainable meat production from buffalo?
As long as there is demand, we sure that is going to be sustainable, because without demand, it's no point that we are actually producing our meat. But definitely buffalo, as I mentioned, always have demand, because in Malaysia we have the minority race like Indian, which prefer buffalo meat compared to beef. And also in Malaysia also, it depends. I mean, in Malaysia sometimes people like to prepare during Hari Raya, apa itu? Serunding. So that serunding, I think Dr. Arif tahu ya itu serunding. Some kind of dish that we eat during Eid, because that one people said is preferably to use buffalo meat because it's more long lasting, and it's also the taste is quite different, and it's good also to prepare that because we know the fibrous of the buffalo meat is more rough compared to beef cattle. So it depends on the culture, depends on the demand, depends on the preference of the people in that particular country. I believe in India also a very high demand for the buffalo meat. All right. And because I said one thing that people like to, I mean, all the smallholders like to raise this buffalo because they are actually harsh animal. They are actually resistant. They are more resistant compared to cattle. So this is also one thing that because you don't need more power or more energy to monitor or keep them, because you can just let them graze in the pasture, or they can always wallow in the mud, in the ponds. So very minimal for you to do a very intensive work to them. So this is one of the things that can ensure the sustainability of this buffalo production, because after they reach this market weight, of course you can just slaughter and sell the meat, or even if they are in the lactation stage, you can still get the milk from this buffalo, and the milk has also demand and has value for people to buy and drink the buffalo milk. Okay, I think that's all.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's all. Enough. Thank you again, Prof. Hasilsyah. And for the participant, it's is the last time for us, yeah, because it's the second session. And thank you again for the participant, for the active participant. Yeah, it's a very interesting topic because we can compare with Malaysia. Yeah, in Indonesia also we face many obstacles for developing our buffalo here, so it's very insightful. And Prof. Hasilsyah is very interesting. Yeah, thank you very much again.
I already
We
shared this.
hope we can meet offline. Yeah, like last year, I think we met. I remember in same program in our department, and we are waiting for the next collaboration, Prof.
Definitely.
Yeah, thank you one more. Okay, I think this is the last time for us. We
Can I
finish.
request, Dr. Arif, can I request for a photo session with all
Yeah,
the...
of course, of course. Yeah. Zidan, can you have?
Can we have photo session with all the participants?
Okay, for the participant, you can open the camera. We will take the photo together for the first day. We will meet next lecture. Yeah, tomorrow, I think. Okay, I have the assistant here, Prof. Zidan, please help us. Okay, wait. Okay. Okay, 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. That's all. The participant, thank you. One more, thank you for your participant today. And one more, Prof, thank you for the insightful topic. See you next time, Prof.
Yes, see you next time, inshallah.
Bye-bye, Prof.
Thank you, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, for the student, don't forget to fill in the attendance form. Yeah. And see you the next lecture for tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Arif, for leading today's insightful session. And of course, a big thanks as well to our speaker, Professor Lucky and Professor Hasliza. We can learn from Professor Lucky. There's a lot we can learn from Professor Lucky about Indigofera, yes, and how we can use Indigofera as animal feed, the ratio. And of course, also from Professor Hasliza, we can learn a lot about buffalo. This is just make me realize there is so much potential about buffalo. Okay, and before we end, I would like to remind you a few important announcements. So the first, please make sure to complete the assignment that will be shared to official WhatsApp group, and don't forget to submit according to the deadline stated. And don't forget to fill in the attendance form. And the second, we will continue with the next session of our international summer course tomorrow at 1 p.m. Western Indonesian time. So please be on time and stay excited for another insightful topic. That concludes our session today. Thank you once again for your participation and your enthusiasm. I am Radia, signing off as the day host. Have a wonderful day ahead and see you tomorrow. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Kampus terbaik, inspirasi, tebarkan harapan. Kampus terbaik, inovasi, wujudkan impian. Kampus terbaik, integritas, kuatkan tujuan. Kampus terbaik, beri terbaik untuk negeri, untuk dunia, umat manusia dan alam semesta. Mari bersama hadirkan masa depan dalam langkah dan pikiran agar selalu terdepan, berbekal ilmu dan jiwa pengabdian. Deras arus zaman takkan tertahan, majulah melangkah, oh majulah. Kampus terbaik, inspirasi, tebarkan harapan. Kampus terbaik, inovasi, wujudkan impian. Kampus terbaik, integritas, kuatkan tujuan. Kampus terbaik, beri terbaik untuk negeri, untuk dunia, umat manusia dan alam semesta. Mari bersama hadirkan masa depan dalam langkah dan pikiran agar selalu terdepan, berbekal ilmu dan jiwa pengabdian. Deras arus zaman takkan tertahan. Majulah melangkah, oh majulah. Terus berpacu dalam keunggulan, lincah pembelajar untuk kehidupan. Inilah semangat baru, tekad raih kesempatan, wujudkan kampus terbaik selamanya. Mari bersama hadirkan masa depan dalam langkah dan pikiran agar selalu terdepan, berbekal ilmu dan jiwa pengabdian. Deras arus zaman takkan tertahan, majulah melangkah. Mari bersama hadirkan masa depan dalam langkah dan pikiran agar selalu terdepan, berbekal ilmu dan jiwa pengabdian. Deras arus zaman takkan tertahan, majulah melangkah, oh majulah. Wujudkan kampus terbaik selamanya, wujudkan kampus terbaik